Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing a twin flame energy check-in reading. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Amethyst. Group 2 is the Angel Aura Quartz. And group 3 is the Celestite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. I chose the Amethyst. So let's start by taking a look at your twin flames' thoughts and feelings towards you and the connection right now. Okay, we have octopus, raccoon, and lizard. So there's a sense that your twin flame may be very overwhelmed by a lot that is kind of coming up from their subconscious, deep within sort of the recesses of their emotional makeup that has been triggered by this situation. A deep compulsion to provide and protect, but also a fearfulness of becoming vulnerable, wounds from the past and people that have abandoned them or disappointed them that are kind of competing with this desire within them to move forward towards you and create more closeness in the situation that is almost, it feels like, making them perhaps pull their energy back, or there's a fearfulness that if they present as overwhelmed to you, or if they are expressing kind of the nature of some of these fears coupled with a deep desire to create something more meaningful and lasting with you, that you will not look at them as necessarily a safe person or a place that holds certainty as far as your future, because it's almost a sense that they're in this kind of growth phase where they're like shedding a version of themselves, trying to sort of battle these fears within and kind of push them aside in order to keep the forward momentum between the two of you happening. A sense that you might be picking up on kind of awkwardness energetically within your twin flame, and a sense of almost like, what are you hiding? What are you keeping from me? What are you not revealing? And rather than this person having like secrets that they need to confess, there's almost a sense of sort of a fearfulness within them, or an aspect of their shadow that is wanting, that almost feels comfortable aligning with like a light inside of you, almost like if anyone could have compassion for this part of them or help them to kind of come up with solutions to these fears, or kind of these worst case scenarios that may be kind of rattling around in their mind, that it would be you. And so it's almost like this woundedness is sort of reaching for you in a way, or there's a part of them that is urging them to kind of express more of this aspect of them, like, I don't have all the answers, I don't have everything figured out, can we work through this together, can you help me come to this place of solution? And then the ego is sort of pushing that version of themselves back and trying to present as more of like a confident, stoic, has all the answers, knows everything, is kind of got it all figured out, a plan has been made, and they're following steps accordingly, that may be translating as kind of chaos or dissonance within this situation, because it almost feels to be something, there's a part of them that knows kind of the next step in this situation is expressing, is showing you that aspect of themselves that is more tender, that is more uncertain, to allow kind of the foundation between the two of you to also factor in those aspects, what they might consider almost deficits within themselves, that they're a little bit afraid of making those known. Will this change change the way that you look at them? Again, will you still feel trusting that like this person is aligned with your future? Is this something where if they showed their weakness or vulnerability, it would cause you to clam up? It would cause you to not necessarily feel that, they're the best or most empowered or abundant partner for you in kind of the future. There may be aspects of themselves that had been routinely kind of pushed away in other partnerships or that they'd never shown anyone before that are almost being magnetized to you as like, you are the safe person. You are the person that can hold space for this aspect of me. And it feels like they're clinging to like a version of themselves that kept a lot hidden, kept a lot to themselves, would only kind of put the best foot forward and would hide things within the shadow or, aspects of kind of perceived weaknesses. They weren't making those things known. And so it's kind of a battle. It's a struggle right now to bring out more of a well-rounded perspective of who they are as a person overall, both their strengths and kind of some of the weaker points of their character or, wounds that they're holding within that they may consider to be sort of flaws or undesirable kind of things that in some way this connection between the two of you or whatever the next step would be between the two of you, it's almost, it has to do with these kind of wounds and bringing those to the surface, allowing you the opportunity to kind of see them in the light of day and hold this person even more close to you, create that kind of sense of safety, that sense of acceptance that they've maybe created for you up to this point in time, or it's just they are almost kind of nudged to sort of take the lead. And there's a part of them that almost knows this subconsciously and might be very fearful of that, kind of fearful of what would you think? Are you going to judge them? Are you going to push them away? Are you going to turn away maybe as other people in the past had done? But it almost feels to be something that they know it's time to show more than just the pleasantries of who they are. It's time to kind of reveal some of more of these difficult to deal with or understand sort of facets and aspects of their personality and who they are. So anything that you may be kind of sensing at this point in time about, okay, they're holding something back or they feel a little bit uncertain, it feels like a little bit of a wishy-washy energy. It's an indicator of something within them that is really thinking about, if I express more of these vulnerabilities to this individual, does everything just fall apart between the two of us? Or do we become stronger together? Is this the time? Is this the person that can help balance these things within me, that can support me during the experience of, kind of examining these uncharted waters within, kind of the shadow aspect of self? Is this the person where all of me can kind of find a place and find acceptance in ways that other partnerships didn't make available, didn't provide? So they may also be thinking about like long-term future with you and kind of whatever the next stage or evolution in your journey is, but it requires them revealing certain fears within, fears of getting hurt, maybe even kind of things about their backstory, previous romantic experiences that they've had that you might not be aware of, that have sort of influenced or informed the way in which they've been dealing with you or they've been showing up in their life. Maybe that their self-esteem has been damaged, they're learning how to love themselves in a more all-encompassing way, something that they know they need to kind of like bring to the surface or bring you into the loop more as far as what they're going through in their own kind of evolutionary process at this point in time, independent of this situation. But it feels like also very much affected by, influenced by, and motivated by a desire to be able to give more to the situation, to give more to you, to give you more of an authentic kind of look at who they are. So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they're dealing with right now. Okay, we have effort and meet. So there's a deep fear that they will not meet your expectations of like what they're capable of in terms of partnerships. It may be that they are so ashamed of aspects within their shadow, or these aspects have never been loved properly, that there's almost a sense of people historically have only liked them when they put their best foot forward, or they've kind of had to use the crutch of toxic positivity in order to be accepted into people's lives, romantically speaking. They may be used to in other romantic connections being the one that is always the rock, is always the support system, has has to just kind of close their feelings off in order to be that sort of place of consistency for another person. And there's a sense of being offered true reciprocity, or at least the ability to explore that for the first time in their life or in a deeper way in the situation with you. But there's a sense of almost like they're comfortable with the idea of you showing more of your vulnerability, more of your fears, more of what you perceive as flaws, and allowing them to kind of love you through these things, or help you to find ways to love yourself more adequately. But then there's a sense of almost like, is this a two-way street? Does this go both ways? Are you going to, provide that safe space for me? Are you still going to accept me? Is this going to change the way that you look at me? Am I going to somehow not be as fulfilling in your eyes if you're seeing these parts of me that are weaker, or that are underdeveloped, or that are wounded, or that have been in some way distorted as a result of experiences that I've had in my past? So there's a sense of more that they need to reveal about themselves to you, or even just a tough time that they're having in general at this point, independent of the connection, that is bringing some of these, what they perceive to be like weaker aspects or wounded aspects of themselves, something having to do with kind of like fear of the future or uncertainty, maybe a lot that they're juggling in their life at this point in time, that it's almost like they don't have all the answers, or they're stretched very thin as far as their resources, their psychic bandwidth, emotionally speaking. They may be under a lot of like stress and pressure, and there's almost a sense of them trying to like bottle that up or hide that in some way, not allowing it to sort of spill over onto the connection. But there's a sense within them of like, I need to make this person aware of like, this is who I am when I'm under pressure. This is who I am, when I'm uncertain about kind of what the future holds, or when big change is on the horizon, or, when I'm kind of like on the brink of something falling apart, or I haven't met my goals and my expectations, when I'm disappointed in myself. That they can't necessarily cloak that or sort of keep it away, but there's a need to sort of trust in the connection between the two of you, and sort of show these aspects of themselves, and just give you the opportunity to sort of disprove the worst case scenarios within them. Almost like the inner critic that says, if you show these weaknesses, this person's going to leave you, like everybody else left you or discarded you. And so it feels like it's a struggle of like, I want to be more authentic. I want you to know more of who I am as a person overall, in all kind of scenarios, not just the best of times, but also, when times are tough. And yet there's a deep fear of kind of losing what the two of you have, or the potential of the future, if they introduce some of these elements where, it can't necessarily be 50-50 in this sense, that it's like it may need to be 80-20. You may need to be carrying some of the weight of this situation while, this person is working through some things, or, aspects within themselves that are kind of just pulling them away from being able to show up as their best version for you in the situation. But there's a deep fear of that somehow changing the way you look at them and causing you to disconnect, or creating almost like an impassable boundary as far as like, this is as deep as the connection is allowed to go, because there's a fear of like, you won't like what you see, or you won't accept them for the totality of who they are, flaws and all. So let's take a look at their possible actions towards you. Okay, we have hum. Try humming to balance and raise your vibration. So this feels like something almost like a Two of Pentacles kind of energy, where they're just going to dance around the obvious. You may notice that they're like making excuses, or coming up with reasons to kind of like not interact with you, pulling back energetically speaking, because whatever's kind of going on in their material reality that has kind of perpetuated some of these fears which have been triggered, or brought some of these shadow aspects to the surface. It almost feels to be something that for kind of the immediate time, for the present moment, they're needing to deal with things on like a tangible level. And the idea of, I need to take this opportunity to sort of ask for help, or trust in this connection to sort of support me during these difficult times. It's almost like that just takes place energetically, but actually materially in your dealings with one another, they lean into that kind of a reflexive mode of just sort of closing off. You may notice them going kind of cold, or again, just trying not to spend time with you or being very unavailable, making up a lot of excuses. And so it's almost a sense of just, this is a major kind of cycle that they are needing to address within themselves, something that may help to kind of give you a bird's eye perspective, not to necessarily take it personally of like, okay, they're losing interest, they're detaching, but it's almost just you're witnessing that wound in motion. Somebody who may have a hard time asking for help or has had to be very self-reliant, and so when stress comes in, when the vulnerabilities are kind of right at the surface, they may put that wall up, but there's almost this awareness of like, this won't suit the connection in a long-term sense, but whatever's kind of brought it to the surface at this point, it's almost like a decision is kind of made. Do I use this opportunity to kind of test the integrity and the strength of this bond with this person and sort of reveal these deeper vulnerabilities, or do I fall into kind of the traditional coping mechanism and just figure it out myself, whatever it is that has kind of stressed them at this particular point in time. And so for most people, it feels like they'll lean into that default kind of coping mechanism, which may give an opportunity for you to break the ice between the two of you, or there may be an opportunity to have some kind of discussion about that sort of when things level out for them, when they sort of resume the nature of their ordinary contact with you a little bit further down the road, that can be kind of in hindsight the time to really sort of tease out that essence of the wound that has made them kind of close off and what all that's about. They may feel more comfortable kind of addressing that once the dust has settled, once they've kind of smoothed out or ridden the wave of whatever turbulence has kind of brought these kind of insecurities to the surface within them. But it feels like most likely in the immediate future, it's kind of like a closed off energy, like they're just sort of dealing with whatever this is, kind of fighting these sort of inner battles within themselves, and it's not really yielding kind of the result of being able to sort of press forward and divulge a lot to you, but you're getting a perspective of sort of like, okay, this is how this person normally operates when things feel uncertain, when they feel very frightened of something, or kind of like fearful of losing control of certain things. They close off, they shut off into themselves. And so that in and of itself might be very informative for you in terms of more of your long-term dealings with this individual, and learning how to kind of navigate that, allowing them, honoring their process, and allowing them the space to kind of transcend that, because it feels like for most people, they're very aware that this is happening. And so there's a fear of almost like that reaction being something which will cause damage in this situation, but then also being very fearful about, if I reveal kind of the nature of what's going on in that internal landscape, is that going to make you love me less? Is that going to make you look at me any different? Is it going to make you judge me, or decide I'm not the one for you? So something that they're kind of like wrestling with inside of themselves. It's kind of like a closed door meeting within themselves, or things within kind of their life, some kind of combination of those things. That you may need to just kind of hold the space for, sort of wait for them to resurface and address that a little bit further down the road. So let's get some messages from their higher self and see what they want you to know right now. And they say, how I wish I could hold you tonight. So this is almost somebody that wishes they could get to the place within themselves where they could ask for help from you. They could use some consoling or reassurance at this particular point in time. If they've become very busy with things in their life, or the communication has already become sort of dicey between the two of you, there's a sense of wishing that they could kind of get your opinion, get your help, get your feedback about certain things. But in order to kind of present that to you, share the nature of things that are going on sort of deeply, existentially, emotionally, it would involve inviting you into that terrain of the place where they don't have all the answers, or where the fear dwells inside. And so it feels like the ego is kind of in command at this particular point in time of like, it's not the right time to let this person in. The connection isn't strong enough to kind of withstand what they are perceiving, and maybe in previous relationships had been deal breakers. You know, they might have been with people that were only sort of using them for what they could provide, or the ways in which they could be, you know, sort of a stepping stone towards other people's wellness, or you know, opulence, or success in life, and they were never really accepted or supported as a person. And so there's almost kind of a pattern. There's an expectation of, when times are tough, nobody's ever there for me, so I need to kind of just keep everything shut off until I can show up in that sunshine energy, and that happy energy, and the energy that's very vital. But there's a part of them that is deeply yearning for you, feeling, understanding, almost like the shadow within them, the woundedness within them knows you are that safe person. You are that place where, you know, you'd hold the space for them. You'd accept this kind of aspect of them. You know, you'd help them work through some things, even if it was kind of just keeping, you know, silent vigil with them while they sort of work through any kind of anxieties or fears within. But they just don't feel to be kind of at that place where they're able to sort of transcend the ego and kind of take action towards you yet. They also say, so we meet again, my dear friend, through space and across time. So they're definitely thinking about long-term potential with you, and understanding that at some point in time, if this turns into like a lasting or a long-term relationship with one another, you're going to have to sort of see how they are under pressure. They're going to have to open the doors and let you into that internal landscape. They're going to have to show you the nature of their fears and wounds in a more pervasive way than they have. They can't just keep on the mask or keep up kind of appearances, which may have been an expectation in previous connections that they've been in and led to things falling apart when other aspects of them, you know, weaker aspects of them, fearful aspects of them, uncertain or triggered aspects of them may have kind of come up in sort of a reactive way. That could have been what sort of eroded the foundation with other people that they dealt with previously. And so there's a sense of knowing at some point they're going to have to introduce you to this face of them, but they're not very confident that it is lovable, that you will find this part of them acceptable, or will help them to kind of come to a place of deeper self-love and acceptance and understanding of this part of them, because nobody else has before. It feels like friends, family, other romances have all sort of chastised this version of them, kind of pushed it aside, shamed them, caused them to sort of stuff it away within the shadow. And so there's a sense of like, I value the long-term potential between the two of us, but I also feel that this aspect, this facet of who I am, this element within my shadow, it does not serve that long-term purpose. And so kind of the decision at this point, at least in their own sort of journey, or at this, you know, time with whatever's going on in their life, it's sort of the decision to kind of keep that at a distance, keep you removed from a full awareness of the detail or the specifics, what that looks like, what the experience of that is. So they may be kind of distancing themselves, kind of taking some space away, or just sort of shutting down altogether, being very closed off compared to how they usually are with you. And they also say, I've tried telling you the truth so many times, but I just cannot for some reason. So there's that confirmation of some aspect of them that kind of gravitates towards you, knows that if there's anyone out there that they've met up to this point in their life, or even just in general, who would be able to kind of help them to find love for these aspects within themselves that have been a struggle to accept, it would be you. Maybe it's things that you've shared with them in terms of your own struggles, you know, ways in which you've been vulnerable. You've given them the opportunity to kind of embrace the fullness of who you are. And now it's kind of their turn for show and tell. And instead of sort of taking that opportunity or using this as the time to allow the connection itself and you to sort of prove you're there for them in good times and bad, the ego is kind of winning in this situation. And again, that woundedness that has been conditioned, that has been programmed within them to say, no, it's not safe to, you know, to show parts of yourself that are uncertain. It's not safe to show that vulnerability. It's not safe to show a fearfulness. It's not safe to ask for help. They also say, I can see eternity in your eyes. Yeah, so this is somebody who does see long-term potential with you. They're trying to work through some fears to be able to kind of help you feel safe blossoming into the fullest expression of who you are in a long-term sense, looking at them as like a responsible, viable, grounded, stable person with which your future is safe. And so whatever turbulence is going on with them in their life, maybe stress and pressure at work, things emotionally that are happening, or even just fears about kind of taking the next step and sort of like, can I be everything you need me to be in a forever sort of sense? Or, years down the road, are we going to get to a place where, you get tired of me, you get bored of me, and not everything that you hoped I would be? There may be a lot of overthinking or kind of just thinking about worst case scenarios that could be part of that aspect of vulnerability, part of that fearfulness, that it's almost like they don't want to show you that. They are not ready to kind of talk through these things, or they've never been taught in the past that like to express a questioning leads to kind of the ability to sort of create solutions together. And yet there's a part of them that is almost like, I want something more with you. I want something long term. And I know that we have to go deeper with one another. There has to be another layer of trust that is built, trust based on kind of showing our weaknesses to one another, and allowing the connection, allowing the other person just sort of receive those, and not take advantage of that, not ridicule that, not push that away, but to find a way to kind of support or stabilize or uplift those things. There's an understanding that that needs to take place at some point in time, but right now with the nature of whatever's going on, it's almost like it's safer to kind of just back away from the situation, or keep you at arm's length, rather than sort of revealing this vulnerability to you. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your twin flame, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got D, T, C, M, V, H, U, D, I, S, W, V, C, P, B, N, K, and Z. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the Angel Aura Quartz. So let's start by taking a look at what are your twin flames' thoughts and feelings towards you in the connection. Okay, we have rabbit, turtle, and frog. So there's a sense that your twin flame has a lot more feelings for you than they've expressed up to this point in time, and there's a sense of something that they want to present, something that they want to convey by way of an apology, an explanation, confession of deeper feelings, something that advances your connection forward to the next level that they've been thinking about for quite some time, rehearsing within their heart, within their mind. And it's kind of like, is this the time? Is it too soon? Is this too much? Is this too little? They're scrutinizing themselves and everything that has happened in the past between the two of you. A lot of nostalgia, a lot of looking back, mentally, or even over like old emails and old text messages, and kind of going through everything with a fine-toothed comb, and sort of reading between the lines, seeing the subtleties and nuances between the two of you, or even being critical towards themselves as far as like, I shouldn't have said that, I should have been more clear about this, or I should have elaborated on something, or that would have been a really good opportunity to kind of provide clarity in this situation, or I wish I could take certain things back. Something that it feels like is informing whatever the next step is that they are anticipating is almost inevitable, or that they feel strongly guided and encouraged to take with you in this situation. There's a sense of almost wanting to make up for lost time and maybe confessing to you a level of feeling that they have had towards you, or a sense of almost like soul recognition, that they had felt immediately, like an immediate spark, an immediate sense of familiarity with you, that maybe because of almost a sense of like you were too good to be true, or this could have even been like a love at first sight situation, that part of their logical mind or even woundedness within them from like past disappointments in romance told them, no, take the slow approach. Don't let your heart lead the way. You got to think logically. You have to build practically. It's better to hold things back rather than kind of share everything all at once. They might have gotten bad advice from people, or just mixed messages, mixed signals from different people that they had sort of confided in about their feelings or about the circumstance and situation, things they picked up from, books, movie, TV, that had kind of led to a sense of uncertainty, like, what do I do in this situation? How do I approach this person? How do I understand or even reconcile within myself the nature of what I'm feeling or the experiences that I'm feeling? There's a sense that they recognize and acknowledge that they almost feel you energetically. They feel you spiritually. This isn't somebody who's just kind of dealing with this on purely an emotional or even a carnal level. There's something that's almost otherworldly about this experience with you, that is, they're at the point within themselves or within this journey with you of like, I can no longer ignore this. I can no longer deny and suppress and kind of turn the other way, or turn the volume down on the reality that everything within me is kind of screaming to push the situation forward. Signs and synchronicities outside of themselves kind of in a spiritual sense or in more of a mystical sense, is sort of encouraging them to create forward momentum. It may even be where they're starting to look around at like even the most well-meaning people that had tried to give them advice about the situation between the two of you in the past, that they had no context, they had no kind of basis to be able to even understand the nature of this very unique bond between the two of you, or the way in which your twin flame feels about you, that may have been, again, like very intense and deep feelings that came on very quickly or suddenly, or collided with like wounds that had not been healed in the past. Something where it's almost like they may want to express regret at even getting advice from other people, because it feels like if they followed that in some degree, in some way, even if it was, people that sort of said, take your time, slow down, love waits, it doesn't rush. There's a sense of they didn't honor some kind of personal truth within, that on various occasions there was an urging within them to kind of provide you with more certainty, provide you with more clarity. Like they pumped the brakes in this situation on at least one occasion when it didn't feel right within them to do so, but maybe it was almost like the practical thing to do is to slow this down, or somebody, that I was speaking to about this had sort of told me that, it's good to kind of take a slow approach, make sure that everything lines up, make sure that you're really certain before you commit yourself. And they're acknowledging or looking back on how that might have created unnecessary friction, misunderstandings between the two of you, or even a sense of like seeing the pain that they had caused in your eyes through kind of like closing up, going within their shell, keeping a lot to themselves, or just the way in which they've handled certain things that might have, again, like led to miscommunication, or made you sort of question and wonder, like, what are this person's intentions? Is what I'm feeling and experiencing with them even real, or is this just kind of a product of my romantic inclinations, my overactive imagination? It's a sense that they've been in sync with you almost this whole time, in terms of like this deep and intense magnetic pull towards one another, but have taken more of just like a logical or fear-based approach to the situation. With there's regret about doing that, and a desire, it feels like at this point, to kind of course correct in a way of providing you with more reassurance, more kind of direct communication as far as like, these feelings are real, these feelings are mutual, I'm experiencing the same kind of intensity and I'm not sure what to do about it, or I am sure what to do about it and I'm ready to do that at this point in time. Whatever that looks like, it'll be different for everyone's particular situation, but there's something that they want to kind of present or provide that gives you like peace of mind and a greater understanding of sort of where they're at right now and where they envision the future of this connection heading. So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they're dealing with right now. Okay, we have secrets and heard. So there's almost a sense that this person has been kind of looking at the way that you may have been trying to kind of keep your dignity intact, move forward with grace. If they had sort of closed off, or if they'd told you, you needed to like slow down in the situation, or if they'd kind of pushed you away or kept a lot from you, anything where they had sort of held back, maybe moments where there was a lot of intensity between the two of you that would have been the excellent opportunity for them to confess deeper feelings, or even let you know, hey, I feel a lot, but I'm very overwhelmed. I'm not sure what we should do in this situation, or it feels best to kind of just, take a long route toward whatever happens next between the two of us. Anything that they have sort of conveyed or not conveyed, it's a sense of them almost being able to register the ways in which this has disappointed you, that you may have felt kind of rejected or overlooked, or not valued in some sort of way, that there's almost a sense of like they have heard your heart breaking, or they've heard this kind of disappointment in your voice. They've been able to read it and perceive it in your energy. And that there's a sense of like, how do I make up for this, that kind of provides you with more clarity, and at the same point in time heals any sort of emotional damage or wounding that has happened as a result of my conduct, as a result of me choosing or kind of being advised to, take more of like a methodical, long route approach to, vetting the situation out, making really certain that this isn't just a flight of fancy, but that there's actually something tangibly here between the two of you. Or if this is somebody that had their heart kind of destroyed by somebody in the past, there's almost a sense of people in their life might have even been very well meaning, of like, you need to take your time the next time you feel something intensely. Don't let a repeat of your previous situation happen again for you, because it took a lot to kind of recover from all of that, to where that in some way, kind of whatever their backstory is, has affected their interactions with you in some sort of way. And there's an understanding of like unnecessary kind of pain or uncertainty, even just the sense of being kind of left in the dark, not knowing where this person really feels about things, what their intentions are, what their long-term plans and goals and motivations are in this situation. That there's a degree of anguish here that was unnecessary, almost like even just a little more clarity, a little more truth telling could have sort of saved the two of you, unnecessary sort of periods of hurt, anything where there's been like on and off communication between the two of you, or things where they've kind of just ghosted or sort of shut down very abruptly, or withheld a lot from you. There's a sense of them understanding that that wasn't the best approach to take to this situation. And so it's troubling them, kind of like, how do I remedy this? How do I provide you with the clarity that's necessary, and at the same point in time heal any wounds that I have created through my conduct in the situation with you? So let's take a look at their potential actions towards you. Okay, we have, you are on the right path. Call on Sawar Ente for courage, confidence, and protection. So this feels to be something where they're seeking advice from somebody else, maybe their higher self. Maybe they're starting to like pray for guidance, or listen to their own intuitive voice within. So a very positive kind of like forward movement in this situation of no longer sort of involving other people in the situation, but almost like listening to their heart or listening to the higher self for the first time, that may result in kind of some sort of big confession towards you, something that's sort of answers a lot of the questions that may have been mulling around as far as like what's going on with them, what do they really want out of this situation, am I the only one feeling this very intensely, do they even acknowledge this connection, do they even, you know, want anything with me in a long-term sense, to where it's almost like those questions are not only answered, but they give you some sort of preview of kind of a bigger plan that they have set in place in this situation, or desire to kind of work with you, as opposed to in opposition to sort of this force that is compelling you both towards each other and on into like a higher experience of love here in the material plane, that they're on board with this. They're listening to their heart, maybe for the first time in their life, or the first time in a long time, or even like for the first time in this situation, where this is kind of like, you know, the big confession that comes in. If you've been quiet with one another at a distance, like a no contact situation, this can be someone that comes back in with that apology, with that offer of reconciliation that is coupled with almost action steps to create something different in the situation, by way of like, let's talk this through. Let's, you know, express these feelings out loud. Let's discuss it. Let's say those things that we have held inside, you know, up to this point. Let's have that all out in the open, and kind of trust in this more heart-based path between the two of us, because they're very frustrated with what sort of, you know, letting their mind be sort of the controller in the situation, or the logical approach, the practical approach. It's not yielded the level of like satisfaction or comfort or progress in the situation that they had hoped in the past, or that they were told in the past that it would. There's almost like they've vetted the situation out for long enough, and it's time to let their heart kind of have the podium. It's time to let their heart be the one that sort of expresses these truths that have been held within. So you might be very surprised by what this person has to say. It may be something that is more than you expected, or it provides you a lot of kind of clarifications about their motivations and actions up to this point in time as well. So let's get some messages from their higher self and see what they want you to know right now. They say the taste of your presence is something I will never ever be able to forget. So this is definitely somebody that recognizes, acknowledges you as a soulmate, perhaps even referring to you as their twin flame, past life connection, something that you outshine anybody that they've ever known before. You've made an impact upon this person that cannot be ignored, it cannot be denied. It goes beyond logic, it goes beyond reason, and yet it is the most logical and reasonable thing they've ever experienced. It feels that they are fully in sync with themselves, of kind of like, it's time to do something to secure the future of this situation. Nothing more can be left to chance, or the approach that's been taken in this circumstance up to this point in time. It's yielded certain results, but there's almost like a deficit of kind of a depth of emotion that they are understanding and valuing as kind of an essential ingredient within this situation. The logical approach, the practical approach, it's only made these feelings for you more intense. There's a part of them that almost demands that they express this out. It cannot be held inside any longer. And they also say, I desire you deeply and eternally. So this person sees forever when they look into your eyes. You feel like the missing piece, or the answer to all the questions they never knew they were out there asking. Everything that has gone wrong in other circumstances romantically in their life, you are the antithesis of that. You are everything that is right. The patience that you've expressed towards them, the way that you challenge them to kind of move beyond their comfort zone, or to even trust in the compulsion of love to take leaps of faith in unexpected directions. All of that is something that it feels like has triggered beautiful change within them. They're believing in the power of love to be something that is constructive and transformative in the best possible way, and that's all thanks to the connection between the two of you. They also say, I will do anything to bring you happiness. So it feels like they want to put your mind at ease, bring some kind of solace to your heart, share with you, make some kind of confession that has been long overdue, tell you everything that you've been wanting to hear, everything you've been wanting to know, answer your questions. If there's been a lot that's been uncertain or kind of up in the air in the situation, this is somebody that wants full disclosure with you. They don't want to have any more mystery in this situation. They're wanting to move forward with you in a way that you're harmonized with each other. They also say, I'm entwined in the thought of finding you one day. So this is a sense of somebody that may have kind of felt your energy since they were young. They always dreamed of finding somebody like you, and you were their dream come true. Almost something that they might have thought you were too good to be true, and that could have caused them to sort of lean into like, well, I got to vet this out. I got to take the logical approach. I got to get the opinion of all these different people about what to do in this situation, because it feels so intense. It feels so otherworldly. It feels so perfect. Like wish fulfillment has arrived, but they didn't necessarily think that it ever would, or the way in which you came kind of packaged as everything they could ever want on multiple levels. It almost caused them to sow seeds of doubt within the situation that they are prepared at this point to uproot, so that you're able to kind of move forward with one another with more of a degree of trust than has been the case before. Them trusting in their feelings and revealing those to you in a more pronounced way, so that you're able to kind of trust that they're on board with this situation and whatever kind of the next manifestation is between the two of you. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your twin flame, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got V, X, R, E, B, D, A, N, U, P, Y, S, J, G, C, and F. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the Celestite. So let's start by taking a look at thoughts and feelings of your twin flame towards you and the connection. Okay, we have tarantula, fox, and camel. So there's a sense that your twin flame feels emotionally inadequate compared to you, a sense that you are more evolved spiritually, you're more evolved emotionally, or if you've been at a distance from one another, they could be watching you from afar and they've witnessed you kind of take your power back from situations that were very emotionally draining for you in your life in general, or even maybe the circumstance between the two of you, like as far as they are concerned, and that you've really invested in kind of your own health and well-being. You're looking good, your energy is different. There's positive and uplifting changes as far as you are concerned that in some way has leveled you up from the person that they were dealing with earlier in the situation, or when you were in communication with one another last, and they're almost like looking around at any kind of efforts that they've made to improve themselves or their life in some sort of manner, and all of those things may have been applied to kind of like practical changes, but it's almost like they didn't really do a lot of that emotional work. They might not have thought much was necessary. They could have been in denial about certain things. maybe there wasn't a whole lot they needed to work on in terms of like pervasive wounds and issues. There could have almost just been something where they needed to build their career or their finances in order to kind of enhance their sense of self-worth, which they may have been very effective in kind of doing that in time apart. Or even if you're still kind of in communication with one another, this could really have incentivized or motivated them to start to take that more seriously, or make changes to kind of level up in some sort of way practically. But then they're looking kind of deeper within themselves and like, I should be able to offer something more. I should be growing and evolving emotionally speaking. And I don't feel that I've done that in a way that is truly competitive with what you've chosen to do, with the ways in which you have revived yourself or rebirthed into a whole new version of who you are, to where it's almost like they're second guessing whatever their choices have been up to this point in time, as far as like, okay, things need to change, or maybe it's been made necessary or apparent to them that there were certain things that needed to be altered about their life in general, or that they needed to start taking more seriously, they needed to start prioritizing. They might have even sort of pushed you in this connection away because they needed to build their career. There were things as far as success in a material sense that they felt took precedence over kind of letting love in, or almost they couldn't provide you with the level of love they thought that you were worthy of until they'd achieved certain things materially. And now that they're at that place maybe of, okay, I've readied myself, I've gotten all my ducks in a row, or I've got something up and running, I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling sovereign, I'm feeling independent, and they're taking a look at you, or kind of just perceiving you in some sort of way, watching from afar almost. And it's causing them to sort of scrutinize and look within and feel very almost like ashamed that what they have to offer, even though it may be great accomplishments, and there may be a lot of success that they've created, or even kind of other patterns that they've broken free from, lifestyle changes in who they're surrounding themselves with, or what the day-to-day nature of their reality looks like. But emotionally speaking, there's almost a sense of feeling below you in some sort of way, or that they haven't taken the time to invest in like wisdom within self. They don't really know themselves that well beyond just kind of surface level and ego level things. So this may be somebody who's trying to like fast track some sort of evolution. They're holding themselves back from presenting themselves to you in the material world until they almost go and do some shadow work. They're like kicking in the doors of their shadow, and kind of looking at things within, peeling back the layers, previous relationships, experiences in childhood. Is there anything that still hurts? Is there anything that's still a wound? Is there anything that could undermine their ability to give love in the fullest capacity and receive love from you very deeply? Because there's a motivation to provide something more to you in this situation than they had been able to do before. But there's a sense of like, you've come to a place within yourself or within your own journey that it's not just the material success that is going to suffice as far as what you're looking for. It's not just what this person can give. It's almost the essence of who they are. So they're looking at kind of like improving their relationship with themselves, or at least kind of examining that in some sort of way, in order to build a sense of assurance that your journeys may have looked different. The things you each might have needed to work on could have taken different routes, but that they feel that there's almost something very competitive or something worth your while that they can offer or provide, other than just they've made a career change, or they've reached that goal that they had been working toward. They're living a healthier life, or kind of, making better choices for themselves. There's almost something that they are feeling like, I need to go deeper than that. You deserve more than that. You deserve somebody that is changed fundamentally from the inside out. So they may be like keeping themselves like at a distance from you very intentionally at this point, until they've retrofitted some things emotionally. But it feels like they have their eye on you. They're definitely like watching from afar. They may be like dropping little hints or innuendos to you, like people you know may kind of mention, oh, I saw them, or things where if you're on each other's social media, they may have started like liking things, or just kind of making their presence known in some sort of way as like a prelude to the direct kind of communication between the two of you. You may just sense them kind of like lurking around in the shadows, that kind of obvious sort of repercussion or ripple effect of like energy flows where attention goes. You may really like feel them observing you at this particular point in time, and it's in a way that they're almost like not trying to hide that very overtly, but yet keeping themselves at a distance, sort of holding themselves back from directly facing you, because it feels like there's a whole list of things that they want to show or demonstrate or prove to you, that the time apart or situations that had happened between you in the past, or ultimatums that were given, that had been taken to heart, that they've kind of done what they could do in order to sort of change their circumstances to make them a more viable candidate for you in terms of long-term potential. So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they are dealing with right now. Okay, we have Harbinger and Conjurer. So there's definitely the sense of almost like, what if what I have created with my life or during our time apart, what if this doesn't meet the expectation of what you're looking for at this point in a partner? Ways in which you may have up-leveled and kind of had a glow up in multiple areas of your life, that there's almost a sense of like, what can I really bring or add to this? What do I contribute to the equation of your reality that you can't already provide for yourself, which feels like that's kind of what has compelled them to sort of pull back those layers of like their emotional landscape and try to look at that very consciously to see, is there anything that I need to fix in terms of the inner child wounds? Is there anything that I, didn't heal or close out properly in terms of like past heartbreaks? Anything that could be sort of lurking unexpectedly in kind of the shadow that would make you in some way disappointed about a choice to give me another chance, or disappointed about letting me back into your life if they're presenting themselves and you choose to open that door to them once again. That there's a sense of almost like it's not good enough, whatever they have to kind of present to you, which may be very wonderful change, it may be very miraculous change, it may be something where they're living an entirely different life or lifestyle than they were when you were dealing with them earlier, or when you were last in communication with them. But there's a sense of almost like, you deserve more, you deserve something better. This best version of myself in like a material sense, there's something that's at a deficit. I like didn't look inside deep enough. I didn't take the time to inventory the emotional landscape. I forgot about that part, or I didn't think anything was necessary there. And so it's almost the sense of like, fearing as well that if they do too hasty of a job, that it's just going to kind of open doors to wounds that might not be so quick to close, or it may create unnecessary delays in the situation, or it may just kind of be a sloppy job that they do at that, and that you may be able to sort of see through that. It might not be sufficient. It might be something which kind of diminishes the nature of whatever they have to bring forth to you. If they've accomplished all these things materially, but then they're just starting on kind of like the inner child healing, for example, there's a sense of almost like, how are you going to receive this for wherever they're perceiving that you're actually at in your journey? Maybe things that you've shared or kind of made known on social media, or that they've heard through the grapevine that kind of pertain to, you closing out certain cycles in your life, or anything that they're able to kind of see or sense as far as like their observations of you, kind of things energetically that have changed about you, things in terms of the way you're living your life that have been altered according to your will, ways in which you're looking more vibrant, you're looking healthier, you're looking better. The changes inside are quite obvious on the outside. All of that is something that is now, they're looking at themselves kind of under the microscope and sort of like, is what I have to offer in a well-rounded and balanced way going to fit in with sort of the person that you've become? So let's take a look at their possible actions towards you. journey. You've flown so far already. Keep your gaze on the horizon. You're almost there. So it definitely feels like they continue to invest in some sort of emotional growth, healing, inventory, maybe tying up loose ends or closing out certain cycles that they had just not recognized, or that had been kind of like the tough work. They thought they could kind of find an easy way around things or a quick fix to certain things that they're needing to go back in and do a more thorough job of. And it feels like that contributes to what they're able to offer you in a long-term sense. So it's almost someone, it feels like, who will continue to kind of just watch from the shadows, keep their distance, not try to be so hidden about kind of their presence that it is unknown to you, energetically speaking. Like if you feel this person, if you sense they have eyes on you, they're aware that you will sense that, and that's okay. That kind of unspoken knowing between the two of you, they're wanting you to have that, or any kind of little hints that they're trying to like get third parties to kind of present to you, anything that they're sort of suggesting on social media, just kind of little like read between the lines sort of things that let you know they've circled back around to you, or they're ready to take a next step towards you. It feels like those things will continue to happen. Maybe a lot of telepathy that happens, interactions in the astral realm and the dream space, all of this, the indicator of not just a disconnected higher self version of this individual is wanting more in this situation, but that they've created some sort of symbiosis between like their 3D self and their higher self. They're embodying a higher version of them than they had previously, and that's the version that is taking these steps towards you from the inside out at this point. They've achieved certain things. They've reached a level of satisfaction, or where things are building in a very positive direction materially. And so now it's almost like time for a tidy up, emotionally speaking, in order to present sort of, here's the well-rounded, evolved version of me. Is this something that is congruent with what it is that you're looking for? Are these the changes you would hope to experience in me that kind of match the changes that you've created within yourself? So it's almost somebody who inches closer to you. The more they do that work within themselves, the closer they get to that place of being able to sort of speak their truth, or come out of the shadows and into the light, and sort of face you directly, open their heart and open the lines of discussion to whatever comes next between the two of you. So let's get some messages from their higher self and see what your twin flame wants you to know at this time. And they say, I'm afraid if you touch me, you will destroy me. So again, a sense of like feeling that they need to create some sort of solid structure within themselves, emotionally speaking. There's a deep fear of rejection, a deep fear of almost like, if you don't like what you see when I present myself to you face to face, if you turn me away, if you slam the door in my face, if you just outright ignore me, I have to be able to move on with my life. I have to be able to pick up the pieces of the situation. There's a deep regret as far as like whatever's happened between the two of you in the past to create distance, although it feels like they've up-leveled in such a way that they understand it was maybe necessary, but there's almost a sense of like, can we reconnect? Can we pick up where we left off and kind of create a different sort of outcome in this situation than had been the case? Can we finish this unfinished love story between the two of us and have that happy ending? But then they're also almost kind of preparing themselves for the worst. Like if you turn them away or you reject them in some manner, that they can continue to kind of keep the momentum going as far as like a reinvented version of themselves. They also say, I love your sense of humor. So they're missing your laughter, they're missing your joy, they're missing your energy and your presence. They're almost kind of like lurking in the shadows, it feels like, and just sort of basking in the ambiance of who you are. The vibe that you're putting out is very magnetic, and it has called them in. It feels like something that they're almost kind of looking to that, feeling into that energy as a way to kind of seek balance within themselves emotionally, raise that vibration emotionally, or at least leave no stone unturned as far as things that potentially could be triggers, could be hindrances, could be blocks, or ways in which they may be closed off to kind of receiving and giving in the fullest capacity. I also say I feel so much beauty, harmony, sweetness, and shelter between us. So you definitely feel like home base for this person, something that they always want to return back to. There's a sense of inevitability, like our paths will cross again. The story is not over between the two of us, and they may have left that up to like fate or chance or destiny up to a certain point in time, but now there's this very kind of pronounced or assertive or definitive desire of like, I need to move the situation forward. I need to do something in order to secure the possibility of my position alongside you in the future that you're creating for yourself. I need you to be aware in an unquestionable manner that I equate you as the person who stands by me as the future unfolds. I also say, I know that the fire that burns in you is the same that burns in me. So they're no longer in denial about the connection or the bond between the two of you. There's a sense of seeing you as kindred spirits, soulmates, twin flames. You're the yin to their yang. You're everything that they were looking for in a person. It feels like they knew that back before you went into no contact. Whatever sort of changes you've implemented in your lives independently of one another during a period of like not seeing each other, not speaking, maybe this person fully having their back turned to you, whenever they've sort of sought you out or you come back into their awareness where now there's these eyes on you, now they're watching, now they're observing, they're seeing how deeply the two of you have aligned even in your separateness. Like through a process of quantum entanglement, you've managed to kind of evolve symbiotically even while doing so independent of one another. And so that's providing them with a lot more reassurance, quelling any doubts they may have had previously as far as like, you're the person for them. You're their destination. You're their home. You're the one that fits them so precisely. And so there's a deep desire to try and tidy up some things within themselves to be able to present you kind of the best within them, or the best kind of work in progress or ever evolving version of self, in order to be able to kind of build towards a mutually sort of satisfying future with one another. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your twin flame, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got D, F, S, U, D, Z, F, Q, G, Y, P, T, O, T, J, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.